Aloha! Thank you for joining us for Countdown to APEC. I'm Gina Mangieri. In just weeks, Hawaii will welcome possibly its biggest event ever in terms of security, planning, logistics, and coordination. APEC, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Meeting, brings together the top leaders, including our president and his counterparts from 21 countries, and tens of thousands of delegates and their families who will come along too. Hosting APEC is shared on a rotating basis among the member nations. Hawaii was up against U.S. cities many times larger, all vying for this opportunity. Having been awarded the president's selection, Honolulu has spent years getting ready. And now the result of all of that preparation and anticipation is almost upon us as we count down to APEC. Much of Hawaii's history is linked to trade, from who came here and why to what directions our cultures, lifestyles, and economy took over decades and generations. Think of this snapshot from 1850.
There was a lot of trade going on. You had the gold rush in San Francisco, you had sugar and pineapple here, and there was this trade going on. The Panama Canal wasn't completed yet. So in many ways, a lot of the commerce of Hawaii was founded on trade.
Fast forward to the 21st century and a new era of trade and economic partnerships as the 21 members of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC, gear up to meet in Honolulu.
APEC is basically our economic Olympics. You have 21 heads of state, about half the world's gross domestic product, about half the world's population.
APEC came together in the late 1980s as other regional trade blocs like the European Union were emerging. It started with about a dozen members, growing through the next decade. Each year when they meet, the economies send their top leaders. Getting to host it is no easy feat. The honor rotates among members, and it has not been in the United States since 1993. After observing Peru's APEC event in 2008, East-West Center President Charles Morrison got to thinking, what about Honolulu?
He was starting to talk about it at that time, and other people, it just became a natural for us to look at what a more perfect place than Hawaii.
An idea became a proposal and a full-fledged bid to the White House to hold APEC in Hawaii.
We were up against San Francisco and Los Angeles, and I think even Chicago was in the running. We did have somebody from the White House come out and spend time with us. The last comment he said as I dropped him off at the airport was, "You folks are really pro." So in terms of selling Hawaii.
And it worked. At the Singapore APEC in November 2009, President Obama announced APEC would come to Honolulu in 2011.
It is a recognition by the president that the place where he was born and the foundation for his relationships as president with everybody in the Asia-Pacific area.
The faces of Hawaii are the faces of APEC, and so for economic cooperation, for cultural exchange, for friendship, for dealing with tough issues in a civilized way, there's no better place to do all of that than the state of Hawaii and the city of Honolulu.
The 21 member economies will be represented in Hawaii by their top political and economic leaders. For America, that's the President, Secretary of State, and Treasury Secretary. Their counterparts will join from Australia, site of the first APEC in 1989. Also Brunei, Canada, Chile, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Japan, the Republic of Korea, Malaysia, Mexico, Papua New Guinea, Peru, New Zealand, Philippines, Singapore, Taiwan as Chinese Taipei, Thailand, Vietnam, Russia, and China.
President Obama understands that China is emerging as a power, and the Asia-Pacific region is increasingly important for our Department of Defense, for our economic prosperity, and for our allies, and even with our challenges.
APEC has tried to pave the way for everything from multilateral accords to a possible future full-fledged Asia-Pacific free trade agreement. That's not yet materialized from the decades of dialogue. Volunteers, including students, are getting a chance to learn more about just how complex it can be.
We're hoping to, in fact, be a part of the meetings on a 40 hours worth of it, so it's a big commitment for our students. And we hope to give our students exposure to a really big, real situation. We do things like Model United Nations, which is a simulation. This is the real thing.
Though the meetings are focused on trade-related discussions, some say a bit of aloha is bound to make its mark.
There was a famous quote by Auntie Pilahi Paki who said, "The world will turn to Hawaii as it searches for world peace because Hawaii has the key, and that key is aloha."
Hawaii is no stranger to hosting world leaders, but we've never had 21 at once, and we've never seen the scope and size of the logistics and planning that goes into an event the size of APEC. We know it as APEC. The U.S. Secret Service calls it National Security Event number 38, and their planning has been long in the works.
The security team that's here has been here for a long time. They understand and appreciate the aloha spirit. They understand the island community, and they're going to do everything they can to keep business as usual going.
As usual, unless something unusual arises.
We're preparing to see if anybody hears anything about some nutcase who decides they want to make a point of doing something dramatic and illegal. They had that problem in Yokohama. There was somebody who made threats to the delegation, and it was dealt with quickly and early.
Law enforcement from all levels in Hawaii will be part of the security plan.
If you look at all these agencies, I mean, they are churning and coordinating and trying to plan accordingly. But when the event happens, you'll see calm water on top. And hopefully, if they never see us, it would have been a very successful event.
APEC is calling on an unprecedented level of personnel dedicated to a Hawaii event.
All of the state law enforcement is playing a role. Our sheriffs will be assisting our narcotics division, internal affairs.
We're looking at over 40% of our daily workforce being exclusively engaged for APEC taskings.
Many protesters plan to make their voices heard.
No one is talking about publicly the harm that APEC does, so I hope that they're getting the message that not all of us have bought into the propaganda. To me, the goal is to let the world know that APEC did not get a free ride in Honolulu.
To our knowledge, most of the protesters that have come to our attention wanting to engage in peaceful protests want to do so lawfully.
Police hope for the same, though they have been trained in crowd control. Officers will be easily identified by name and badge number. The Honolulu Police Department Civil Affairs Unit will have a look of its own. 30 handy vans have been transformed into HPD shuttles. Some buses have become police transport and paddy wagons if necessary. A bike detail will move in units of 10. Patrols won't be limited to land. Security includes ocean zones too.
A lot of things can happen, and a lot of effort's gone in at the federal level as well as the state level and the local level as well as the host committee level to really plan for whatever contingency comes along.
Part of that contingency planning involved the Honolulu Fire Department getting a range of new equipment.
It's capabilities that we've never even dreamed of in the past. We'll be a safer community even after APEC is done because of the equipment that we have here.
You may have noticed a few changes around here as Honolulu got geared up for APEC. Everything from our roads to our airports, sidewalks and medians, all racing to be done before APEC arrives and to benefit the community long after. An often traveled route from the airport to Waikiki is Nimitz Highway, one of many areas that got the beauty treatment before APEC.
It's one of our major thoroughfares. It was not in great shape, and not only is it going to be paved and smooth, but some of the landscaping will be improved.
But getting to before and after meant more than a few bumps along the way.
A friend of mine in the Department of Transportation has called it a war zone. So we apologize for that, but I think it's going to be worth it for citizens over the long run.
From Nimitz to Ala Moana Boulevard and other roads and sidewalks in between, Hawaii's infrastructure to-do list got an APEC boost.
It helped Hawaii look in the mirror, and everything from the arrival experience at the airport to the departure experience, we've been improving.
Much needed airport projects got more than a green light. They got speeded up to beat APEC's arrival. Dozens more video monitoring cameras were installed, and even bandwidth was improved, so all cell phones and wireless devices would work better. All of it stays after APEC goes.
We're only going to do the kinds of things that make sense for Hawaii's citizens and for Hawaii's economy over the long run. In other words, we're not wasting money on stuff that's only going to last for 5 days.
When we return, Hawaii's biggest industry takes on its biggest opportunity yet, how hospitality meets APEC with aloha. Hawaii already stands out as a leader worldwide in hospitality, not just for sun and fun, but meetings, conventions, and incentives. Well, APEC takes that to a whole new level here in Hawaii.
The security aspect of APEC may be a whole new scope and scale for Hawaii's travel industry, but tens of thousands of people at once, well, that's familiar territory.
They're going to be hit with a mass of people, and they can handle it. They have the room, they have the know-how, they know where to go to get answers.
Helping along the way is a cadre of volunteers trained by industry veterans.
They're training us on a lot of, like, if we don't have the answers, maybe we should find the answer quickly, but don't give them the wrong instructions. So it's very, very good interactive stuff.
They'll be there to help from start to finish.
They'll come up to the greeters, we'll filter them in different directions so they can get through customs faster.
And all along the way, the guests will know they're in the land of aloha.
Although America is the host nation, Hawaii is the host place. And so we need to understand our place more than anything right now.
It's a week that will pay big dividends. While some diplomats carrying exemption cards will get to skip GE tax and hotel tax, an estimated $120 million in direct spending is expected.
They have higher bookings than they expected in November. So they are getting a lot of APEC attendees or their spouses and the people that are traveling with them booking charters, and that's a good thing economically.
As is the global exposure that money cannot buy.
Millions of people will be seeing Hawaii, will be reading about Hawaii for that week, and it's going to do a tremendous amount of good for the state. Not just as a tourist destination, but the fact that very serious work can be done here in Hawaii.
The industry has invested years of serious work into making sure Hawaii's impression on the world is a lasting one.
The next time it comes to America is going to be another 21 years from now, and chances are it won't be Hawaii. So this is really our chance to show the world who we are, what makes us special, what makes us different from any other sun and fun destination. We have a beautiful culture.
When we return, Hawaii businesses and innovators are getting involved in APEC, and there will be a lot of attention on what they do when the world spotlight is on Honolulu. That's next on Countdown to APEC. APEC is about trade on a global scale, but gearing up for it has been a partnership of local businesses and volunteers. And once APEC is here, a group of innovative Hawaii businesses will get to show off their ideas and products that just might change the world.
Once Hawaii learned it had won the chance to host APEC, an industry was born. A host committee with its own CEO, board, and operational structure was formed, and contractors were selected. Everything from Tory Richards shirts to marketing, training, a website, catering, and more.
It's worth the effort not only for the money they'll make off of, but the international exposure.
Besides the APEC-related services, 5 companies statewide won a featured spot in the Innovation Showcase, which includes displays, exhibits, and exposure during the event. Sky Ventures, Big Island Carbon, Sopagy, Trex Enterprises, and HNU Energy.
And they're companies that will show well in the international marketplace. And there are also companies that are looking for money, looking for investment.
Future innovators got a shot at APEC involvement. 5 Hawaii high school students won an essay contest about sustainability.
Their concern, their knowledge and awareness about the importance of sustainability, about recycling, about, using the land wisely. I mean, it was really impressive.
Also impressive, the hot ticket that came along with the accolades. Access to the CEO Summit within APEC that few in Hawaii will get to attend. The president is expected to drop by. To bring some of these top-rung international business elements into local reach, a 2-day Asia-Pacific Business Symposium will connect local companies with experts and executives.
And this is the first time something like this has been done at an APEC meeting, to be able to offer something, again, for the local community or other business people who are coming but might not be attending, for instance, the CEO Summit.
From preparation to execution to the connections forged in the week ahead, it will all be woven into the fabric of business in Hawaii.
It's going to be a real opportunity for all of us to show our stuff. And by doing that, we will really learn more about ourselves and about how to do business in a global economy.
Much of the preparation for APEC has gone on behind the scenes, everything from security to hotels and venues. But you have some preparation to do too, planning ahead for traffic delays and security checkpoints. What you can expect when Countdown to APEC returns. It's been described as a city within a city, the extent to which APEC will create new traffic and security patterns in and around Waikiki. And then there's a day when they all head to Ko'olina. Here's what you need to know and prepare for traffic around APEC.
Security, yes. Total lockdown, no. Traffic, count on it.
Waikiki will still be operational. People will be able to get in and out of Waikiki to work, to visit, although I'm not sure a regular resident of Honolulu would be wise to try to get into Waikiki during that week.
Homes, apartments, and businesses in direct proximity of the blocks surrounding the convention center can expect road closures for the week. Outside the immediate circle, no parking restrictions line some back streets as those roads become alternative bus routes.
We do ask people to plan ahead, to be aware of what the situation is, and when it is appropriate, it might be a very good idea not to be in the areas that are going to be affected.
Some less predictable interruptions will come when the president and other heads of state take to their own itineraries.
There'll actually be closures when what we term the three highs move. That'll be Russia, the United States, and China. The other economic leaders are expected to obey all traffic laws and also move with the traffic.
Certain areas directly surrounding the convention center will become completely off limits, such as a portion of the Alawai Promenade, where several homeless camp out.
A lot of them read the newspaper on a daily basis, so they're putting two and two together. You know, APEC's coming and we're still here, but the police are giving us a harder time.
Security zones will close off access for boaters, surfers, paddlers, and beachgoers for limited times in defined spots. All the State Department and Secret Service details are on KHON2.com. And the city has posted full descriptions of road closures and reroutes, parking restrictions, and changes to bus and trash schedules. The biggest changes come to the land, road, and ocean area around Halikoa when it hosts the top leaders Saturday, November 12th. And again Sunday, November 13th, when all the leaders get on the H1 and head to Ko'olina.
Let's say you don't want to be anywhere on the road when we're heading out to Itilani Resort, which I think most people have said that that's the greatest opportunity for Carmageddon on that particular date.
APEC may be just one week-long event, but it's expected to have a lasting impact far after it's over. When we return, how APEC will make a difference in Hawaii for years to come and how Hawaii will leave a lasting impression on the global marketplace when Countdown to APEC returns. So much preparation goes into seeking, winning, and getting ready to be an APEC host city. And then after a week in November, it all seems to be done. But the effects are expected to be felt long after the final session here in Hawaii.
Soon the countdown to APEC will become the countdown of APEC, and the week will be over. The barriers and banners will come down, the revenue will be counted, and so will the costs.
We hope to get federal funding to offset some of the APEC costs, but we just need to ensure that it's a safe event for the public.
But in the wake of Hawaii's biggest event to date, what happens then to all the momentum?
A lot of people are only focused on the 1 week, the 7th to the 13th. In reality, we're really planting the seeds for the future.
We might not see tangible results right away, but I do think will put us on the map.
On the map in a new proportion for the Asia Pacific, never mind a dot in the middle.
We hope very much to have the opportunity to behave sort of like a Geneva of the Pacific, where somebody wants to do something diplomatic or intergovernmental and they want to do it on neutral territory. Come here.
Many say this APEC will be remembered as one where many voices were heard loud and clear and yet peacefully.
We want them to know that we are part of the global movement against corporations and against the rich. So that's the message we want to get across. I don't think that there's going to be anything beyond a peaceful protest here. I really don't.
It's democracy. It's something that's expected, that this is the greatness of our country, that people can express their views, express their positions, and we can still be in a safe environment and hold our meeting.
APEC may prove a jump start on tourism and business relations with growing markets.
We have such a strong relationship between Hawaii and Japan. But it's taken 30 or 40 years to build that kind of relationship. So what we want to do is use APEC as a moment to start to build those relationships with China, strengthen what we have in South Korea and the Philippines, and throughout the Asia-Pacific regions.
And it may reposition Hawaii as holding its own in that neighborhood.
A change in the mindset of our Asian Pacific neighbors about what Hawaii is and who Hawaii is. They're going to have a chance to see us up close, and they're going to have a chance to see us as this anchor of the Asia Pacific area, and as a partner and a member of the Asia Pacific region, not just as an extension of the United States alone.
When President Obama announced nearly 2 years ago that Honolulu would host APEC 2011, the biggest coordination of tourism and security that Hawaii has ever seen got underway. Now it's entering its final stages and the countdown begins. Thank you for joining us for Countdown to APEC. On behalf of all of us at KHON2, aloha. I'm Gina Mangieri.